There are those who say, and we quote their words, that sin is a disregard for some law, but not necessarily the so-called moral law or the Ten Commandments. But that is not what Paul and James say. We do not see how they could more clearly have stated that the breaking of a certain law is sin, and that law is the Ten Commandment law. Furthermore, the objectors forget to tell us what law John means, 1 John 3:4, if he doesn't mean the Decalogue. They do not know, for the Bible throws no light on some law morally binding on men other than the Decalogue. And the objectors, as well as we, are dependent on the revelations of Scripture. The same was true of those who lived in John's day. Hence, how incredible that he should define sin, that awful thing that keeps men out of heaven, as the transgression of the law, without defining what law he meant, if indeed he meant some other law than Paul and James meant when they wrote of sin. The very fact that John offered no explanatory comment as to what law he meant is the strongest proof possible that he meant the law which his readers, who by now had read Paul and James, understood as the law, the Decalogue. A favorite text of those who seek to prove that the Decalogue was unknown before Sinai is Moses' statement, "The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day." Deuteronomy 5:3. The argument runs thus. God declares that the Ten Commandments are his covenant. Moses is here speaking of this covenant and declares it was not made with the fathers before Sinai, therefore the Ten Commandments were not given, in fact, were unknown before that time. What strange beliefs we would have to hold if we came to this conclusion. In the immediately preceding chapter, Moses refers to this covenant and warns Israel, "Take heed unto yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of any thing, which the Lord thy God has forbidden thee." Deuteronomy 4:23. Are we to conclude that none of God's children before Sinai knew that it was wrong to make graven images? We can hardly believe anyone will answer yes. But the prohibition of images is the second command in the Ten. Hence those who lived before Sinai must have known of the Decalogue. That is the only conclusion we can reach. Then what does Moses mean in Deuteronomy 5:3? We think that the simplest explanation is that he viewed the gathered hosts at Sinai as the birth of the chosen nation that God had promised Abraham would spring from him. Through Moses, God told Israel that if they would be obedient to his covenant, "You shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation." Exodus 19:6. Not until Sinai was it thus possible literally to make a covenant with the nation or kingdom of the Jews. It is also true that not until Sinai was there any formal proclamation of the Decalogue. The fathers before Sinai had never heard God speak his law to them as Israel had. And it was the law thus proclaimed that was the basis of the covenant. Hence, in a very real sense, the covenant made with Israel at Sinai had never been made before. Commentators differ in their endeavor to clarify this text. Adam Clarke seeks to do so with the addition of parenthetical words, thus, "The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers only, but with us also." Jamieson, Fawcett, and Brown observe, "The meaning is not with our fathers only, but with us also, assuming it to be a covenant of grace, or not with our fathers at all, if the reference is to the peculiar establishment of the covenant of Sinai. A law was not given to them as to us, nor was the covenant ratified in the same public manner and by the same solemn sanctions. Or, finally, not with our fathers who died in the wilderness in consequence of their rebellion, and to whom God didn't give the rewards promised only to the faithful, but with us, who alone, strictly speaking, shall enjoy the benefits of this covenant by entering on the possession of the promised land. For comment on the claim that because there is a new covenant, therefore the Decalogue is abolished, see objection number 5. But says the objector finally, if the Decalogue was in existence before Moses, how is it that it was first proclaimed and first written down at Sinai? Such a question reveals a forgetfulness of history. We might as appropriately question whether any of the moral instruction of the Holy Bible is really binding on us, seeing that none of it was written before Moses. The simple facts are that by the time of Moses and the children of Israel, the knowledge of God and his laws had become so blurred in men's minds that it became necessary that a written revelation be given to the world. Coming directly out of Egyptian darkness, the Israelites were in special need of clear-cut declarations on the great moral precepts. For this reason, God with his own finger carved in the everlasting stone the 10 Commandments. No one need then be in doubt. The changing moral conceptions of those Israelites could ever be corrected by the unchanging words graven in the stone.